Welcome everyone, my name is Pat Mitchell, and today I'm going to be going over a viewer's question and comment, and I'm going to go into a deep dive as to why I did what I did. And I think it's really going to help new traders who may not be seeing the bigger picture and thinking more so long term. You're going to get a lot out of this video, so give me 1 sec. I'm going to fire up these charts, folks. We're going to make this one nice and quick and easy. Okay, so let's go over this, and for context, here's the video that I'm referring to. It is a trade analysis and dissection from Thursday, October 9th trades, where I'm talking about basically a management technique when you open up right on a valid level. Okay, so there's lots that you can do with that. There's always going to be shorts, there's always going to be longs, especially from a day trading perspective. But yesterday, what I wanted to show members and do it live was to give them a management technique, and more so having them focus on strategy and what strategy really means. So the video is called "I Wanted This Trade to Fail. Why would I do that?" So that's the video. And basically the idea of this here yesterday was to give a real quick recap. When you're going to open up pre-market and you are trading in and around the previous close or a major level, especially when the market has the ability to be very irrational, especially right now, because it is, and it's only going to get more irrational over the next probably month or two, it's important that there are always going to be obvious trades going short into pre-market highs. But what you're missing is the daily chart. And that's super important to a day trader and when they're developing their trade plans. So what you want to do instead is wait for the failure of that support level. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, obviously, here, but I do want to read the question in the comment so then you guys have a little bit more context. So Rodolfo asks, great teaching. Thanks, by the way, buddy. Just curious why he didn't take the short on SPY from pre-market highs at 674. So I gave him a detailed response. And then I also replied underneath that I would actually do a video response. A lot of times when people ask questions, if it's a valid question, this is how I'll respond to it. I'll give them, a proper dissection of what I can, but that's typing things out. When you're talking about technicals and strategy, sure, you can type it out. And yes, it might make sense to you, but you really need to see it done live on the charts and for context. Now, I will say all of this, though, Rodolfo, is fully explained as to why I did what I did and why I chose to wait for that failure of that level in the video. So I do recommend going back and watching that video. That's one of the most important lessons that I can ever give is in that video. So if you're going short, and you can, there's a valid short here. You're not wrong. That short into pre-market highs was a part of the original trade plans. Okay, so when I'm giving original trade plans, I'm covering all angles. The trade plan was given to go short. And if it wants to confirm above, I said I would give it up to 674.50. That was part of the pre-market plan of attack. But what we saw as the market was getting closer to the open was a real good opportunity to do some live instruction. Now, that's how I operate. I don't run a regular service where you come in, you try and shadow my trades, and you're going to try and make money. It's not money focused. Yes, you will make money, and you can make money if you do the process correctly, but it's about strategy. So I'm trying to raise and basically breed professional traders that will have longevity in the market. I'm not someone that takes screen grabs of somebody's trades that to try and market my service. I need my members, my traders, to actually succeed. This is why I do the things that I do, and I forego a monstrous trade because it would be. The trade plan was there. It was given at 9 a.m. East, 30 minutes to the market open, this exact trade plan to short that. But I saw an opportunity instead, an opportunity that is a very specific setup, because this is a setup when you're going to see it range at pre-market, it's going to range right at a key level. If you don't know how to manage that and you're guessing at things and you're going short into major support, you may make money. Trading can be difficult to think long term or see the forest through the trees, so to speak, because you get rewarded for doing things technically wrong. Now, I don't know how many of you watch boxing or any type of mixed martial arts. If you are technically unsound, and there are traders that, there are fighters that just go in head first and they just start swinging, throwing fucking bombs, huge overhand rights, and they might knock that opponent out. But it doesn't mean over time that they will be champion. Do you understand? And if you, as your goal as a fighter is to be champion, to have that belt on you, for us, it is longevity as a trader. Okay? So you'll get fights, you'll get trades, but you won't be champion. Now, let me explain why. So I'm going to clean this chart up again, but I want you guys to remember the main on this is we're opening at major support. There is major support here. Now, yes, we are extended, but you can't look at it like that. If you're above support, you look for the long. If you are below support, so under resistance, you look for the short. Above long, below short, period, end of story. When you're working with a chart that is dipping above and below your major support level, which happens to be the previous close. Now, with that said, I want you to turn your attention to the blue chart to the left. This is the daily chart. This is what a lot of new traders and struggling traders are missing. What you're missing is the vast amount of fucking support here. We have highs, 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 previous close. That is a wall of support. Now, granted, I even said that this has high odds of failure. I have an opportunity to show how to manage this trade. We knew this was going to fail. I said it was going to fail, but we will receive a bounce. Okay. And there's always other ways to capture the short. Allow it to fail first. So what I'm about to say next is probably one of the most important parts of this video. There are obvious trades in day trading. There's stuff that's very obvious. If you're only going for the obvious and not being strategic, what odds do you have of true success and longevity as a trader? Zero. Fucking zero. It is a 0% chance that you will be doing this longer than 5 years, 10 years. You won't. Take my word for it. I've been doing this for over a decade. There's a reason why I have the longevity and the hit rate that I do. It's because I don't only take the obvious trades. This is a game of infinite consistency. You need to be consistent and on the ball at all times. And I don't mean to go off on a little bit of a rant here, but it does kind of drive me nuts because I see every trader out there on social media, whether they're new or they've been doing this for a while, and they all regurgitate the same shit about this being about 90% fail, 10% make it, but yet they don't fucking believe it because they're sloppy with their trading. Do you understand? There's a level of frustration there because I see people say all the right things. It's like all of these talking head points, like, consistency, process, like all of this shit that, yes, you should obviously be doing, but nobody does it. I see so very few people that are actually disciplined and consistent in the process and know what strategy actually means. Now, again, this trade is valid. I developed a trade plan for it. But what you're doing in that case, if you are shorting that, and there's a way to short it safely and to get out into your target, you can do that. Most new and struggling traders won't do that. They're going to look for more because you see the end result on the trade and it went all the way down to the 9 EMA. So then you feel like a fucking hero for shorting that pre-market high. What you're doing, if again, to turn your attention to this daily chart, man, that's all you need to know. You don't be going short into that shit. The only available short, the better available short in this situation is to allow it to squeeze way up here coming into that. That way, you have all the distance in the world back down into your support level. That is a nice big trade. Do you understand? So to get back to why I did what I did, again, when we are trading, not to be repetitive, but I have to, if you're going in and out of a valid support level, a major support level, that's a ton of support, okay? If you're doing that, wait for the failure. You can still go long. You are above support. You can go long. And that's exactly why I did that. Strategy is doing things day in and day out the exact same way. No matter, even if you feel it in your bones that this is going to fail. Because if you pick and choose your trades, you're fucking doomed. You'll have no consistency because now you're dictating to strategy what will work and what won't. That's not what strategy is. Strategy is designed to be hands off. So then it's just muscle memory. If, like, for example, above long, below short. Okay, at a level, you don't go short coming down into support. Like it's a recipe for ultimate failure. So what you do instead, execute that first long coming down into the level, pay yourself into resistance, which is your first level of resistance, is this pre-market range here, which is exactly what we did. Then I have the opportunity to teach and instruct and show people how to manage a failed trade. That's why I did what I did. I have an opportunity to teach people and show them exactly how to manage a trade that is going to fail. Imagine having a crystal ball, the power of a crystal ball, or being able to see the future. That's what's going on here. So execute the long, coming back down into what most people would take confirmation. It's going to fail. As it fails, you allow it to come down and work off of pre-market lows. Now, again, you can go see and watch that previous video for all the instruction. Okay. What's going to happen once it grabs, it's going to come back up and retest that failed support, now acting as resistance. Like I said, technical analysis 101. So on this here, you can execute that short and run it down. You get out of the long right there, and then you can flip short. You wait for that support to fail. Allow it to fail. Allow it to prove itself first. If you don't do that and you're shorting this into major support, yeah, you might get rewarded today, but overall you will fail. It is odds. Where are your odds? You need to trade strategy. It's the hardest lesson to get through to all of you that are watching these videos on YouTube, man. New traders, struggling traders, traders that haven't found consistency yet. That's why. That's why you haven't found it, because you're not being strategic enough. You're not actually following strategy. And anyone that argues with me has no idea what you're talking. You don't know what you're talking about. You're arguing now, not you, Rodolfo, just people in general. I see people argue with a trader that has found all the success in the world, that has been doing this over a decade. Why would you argue with someone like that? Now, I get it. There's a lot of bullshit artists out there, but I've documented the way my day-to-day life. I have posted my trades day in, day out for years straight. Why argue with a guy like that? I'm telling you, it's easy to look after the fact. Hindsight is fucking real, man. And it's easy to be like, oh, well, why didn't you go short? Well, because this is why. Because there is major fucking support here, man. It's a bad idea. Allow it to fail. It will. And this is another thing that's hard to explain. It will. When it fails, it's going to come up and test that. Wait for the short. Wait for the failure. Wait for it to tell you that it's truly weak. If you take this trade, sure, you can just re-risk off of that pre-market high area. Pre-market highs or now that range. But that is a proper and strategic trade, because that's what all of this is about. So I just want to thank you, Rodolfo, for your question, because when I receive good questions like this, where it's a valid question, where you're genuinely curious as to why I'm doing what I'm doing, I can provide you guys with videos like this. I really appreciate it, and I know there's going to be a lot of other people that appreciate it, that are going to watch this and actually looking for true day trading education, not creator content. That's not what I do. This is fucking education. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend and a week ahead, depending on when you're watching this. If you want to come get trained, come to tricktrades.com. Work with a coach that actually gives a shit and can actually get you to where you're going. I don't just give you an entry strategy. I give you an entry strategy, exit strategy, management strategy, sizing strategy, the whole nine. You name it. I got strategies coming out the yin yang, because that's what it takes. Everything needs to be strategic down to the pinpoint. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Adios.